everyone, and welcome to my podcast where we talk flowers, floral arranging, gardening, and more. I'm Tiffany Rutkowski, and my husband and I are the owners of Creative Designs by Tiffany, a floral shop and micro event space. To find out more and stay up to date, visit our website at cdbytiffany.wordpress.com and connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm passionate about all things beautiful, mainly flowers, and teaching you how to savor all the things of it. You'll hear tips, tricks, and from some of my highly esteemed friends in the business. Today, I'm joined by Dave Warner, producer of Tiffany Talk.
Well, just as soon as you say highly esteemed, I get mentioned, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, okay, I'm good with that.
Good. That's very good. And we're recording for the beautiful My Little Falls studio. And I was trying to figure out how many months it's been since we've had a recording. So
it's been, did we do it in November?
No,
or was it
not
October?
November. I think it was October.
Okay,
so,
all right.
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So
I went down for the count for a while. So
yes. Well, you're my
bad.
and more. So we'll
Right.
talk
Yeah,
about that.
okay, all right.
And more of why I've been MIA.
Why have you been,
All of our
why has the
faithful-
studio been quiet?
Right, exactly. And I get the story. I'm excited about that.
You know,
Yes, I'm so excited.
you get the scoop. I mean, because I
Yes.
had somebody who wanted to interview me about it. And I said, what are you going to do, a story? He said, well, yeah, I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, okay, all right.
Sweet. Well, good. I'm glad I got the story
You
then.
have
See,
the scoop
I
then.
thought you might have had a couple other podcasts already record. They got the scoop on it. So, yes.
You're the first one into the restart.
Awesome. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. So the viewership should go up from that, right? So that's good.
Or not.
That's really good. No. Well, anyway, I'm so glad to be back because that was, I didn't realize how much I missed it. And like I was saying before we started, I didn't realize how many people actually listened to the podcast. And I think I lost a little business from not doing it. So I said, we got to get back into it. So I'm glad we can now. So,
Right.
well, yesterday was Valentine's Day. Today is the 15th of February. I don't know when this actually airs. I just botch it and say
You just
whatever.
do it.
It just
you
goes
know,
on.
I think I can get it out tonight.
Sounds
for you.
good. So
yeah.
yesterday was Valentine's Day, so nobody should have any flowers that are dying yet. Not on wood. All your flowers should look beautiful still.
Unless you got them from 1-800.
Right. Or if they sat out yesterday, it was like -4, I think, when all my deliveries went out. So it was a little cold, and they
Steep.
freeze. They really freeze. So see, if we had last month's podcast, I would have told you how we wrap it and what we do with the cold. But either
You
way,
know it's still cold and you're still making deliveries and you could
Yes.
still give people that
That's
information.
true. Well, and that's this week. It's supposed to be 50. And I said, I wish Valentine's Day was on Thursday when it's going to be 50, because then they could just go out. You don't have to worry about the packaging or anything.
Yeah,
and
but
they
it's going to be
could sit
50 for
outside.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Warm enough that they won't freeze.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the nice thing, because flowers do freeze. So that's, do you know that they freeze? I mean, it's kind of common sense.
I know
but kinda,
that because I have a floral horror story.
Okay. That they froze.
So I won't name the florist.
Okay.
Because if it was you, you wouldn't be sitting here.
Oh, good. See, that's where you need the drum set. See, that's.
Who, on 2 different orders, one sent them to the wrong place.
Jeez.
And on the second order for a memorial service, put them outside where it was happening, and it went below freezing.
Yeah, it is.
And so they were damaged.
Yeah, and they do. They I don't have any on me now, but they brown up. They brown up really quickly. And certain flowers, they are okay in the cold, like tulips. Tulips, you can have those in like a loose wrap bouquet, not have to have them covered as well as you would like a rose. The rose gets hit really quick. Carnations are pretty resilient, so those can hit, they say 32 is when they freeze. Those can, 30, 29, if it's out for like 10 minutes, they'll be okay. A rose in that same condition, gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I mean, it's not necessarily they're going to be gone like immediately, but you'll see that they start to wear out a little bit quicker than if they had their nice, 50-degree weather.
Well, I can see tulips are an early
Yep.
spring flower, and you
Yep.
still could get some cold temperatures, and so I can understand that resiliency. So
So they are pretty cold resilient. So you'll see in my winter arrangements a lot of tulips because it is springy, but at the same time they are a little resilient. So, but yesterday, so for Valentine's Day, you have to go and you have to call people to make sure that they're home, especially, on cold days. But in general, on Valentine's Day, you don't want to have to deliver it today, which is the 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. So you really want to make sure everybody's home. That's a coordinating thing. And then I had a whole bunch that went up to our school. So when you have a bulk delivery that goes up to school, I ended up having both delivery drivers go up at the same time so they could just tag team it. So running in and out with all these arrangements without them getting nipped from the cold, that's a lot of coordinating too.
So the school thing, is this teachers giving teachers flowers, or is this these darn kids?
So this is okay. So kids now. Kids are one of my best I don't even know how to, clientele will say, they go all out. They have no, and it seems like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, their money is endless. So it really is, where you have guys that come in and they say, hey, how much is this? I want to check on this. Kids are like, yep, that sounds good, because they just want to impress. So
see, the parents are paying the bills. The kids don't care about the money. It's like, I'll spend whatever I want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of them that they just no expense too much. So they did dozens of roses. Those had to go up to school, and teachers, for the most part, I have this kind of rule of thumb that you try not to go up twice to the schools. See, if we had this pre-show, I would have been able to talk to you about this. So there's always those people that are in the offices and you work with 3 or 4 people, or in classrooms, you only see 2 or 3 teachers and it's isolated. So when 2 people get something and the third person doesn't get anything, what happens with the third person? I get a phone call last minute that, hey, can you send something up to my wife? She works at the high school or middle school or whatever the case is. And so it's not isolated, but then they know it's a late call because theirs comes up 2 hours later after everybody else's, or they just get nothing at all. So we ended up trying to cover that yesterday.
Yeah, you got to cover for them.
Yes.
You got to say, oh, we couldn't fit everything in the vehicles the first time.
That was it. That's it.
Yeah.
You have little quirks that you have to go through, and you just kind of wink at everybody. But in reality, I'm not really sure if the recipients know what's going on or if they just say, oh, okay, this is great.
Well, we won't say the person's name.
Right.
But
Yes. Yeah. Better
these
late
kids
than never.
are driving the parents.
Oh, yeah.
Who have, quote, made an agreement
Yes.
about, honey, let's not do anything for Valentine's Day. Well, men, if you're listening.
I was going to say, are we on cameras now? Or
We're
are we
on
just,
cameras.
okay, we're cameras
You're
now.
on
Okay.
this one. I'm on this one over here.
All
But
right.
men, if your wife ever says to you, we don't have to do anything for Valentine's Day, that is a lie. If you don't know that, you're screwed.
Yes. Well, it's true. And again, we're not naming names. I'm glad you kind of brought that up. But, that was the situation yesterday. Some of these kids outdo the parents. So then what are the parents going to do? You can't not get anything at that point. Come on, let's be realistic. But then last minute, that's another thing, I was going to talk about today is that I had a certain amount that I ordered. So most of the time, most florists end up running out of something. Or you can go the way that you overbuy, but in reality, nothing's going on the 15th of February. Hence why I'm here recording in the middle of the day. So on the 15th, it's kind
goofing off.
Yeah, you get to just relax. You worked and bust your butt the whole weekend, and now you kind of get to relax for the day. No one's calling. Let's be honest. If you're that late, it's a little too late for you. So you had that day. But anyway, so there's 2 approaches to it. But for me, I usually end up selling out. So this person was extremely lucky that he got there on time, got a little bit of red roses, and was good. So there's a finesse to ordering. There really is. And I got lucky this year that I think I sold out perfectly. So I didn't have anybody that walked away without something that they wanted. Reds, I did this year, garden style mix, and then reds and, the typical baby's breath and roses and things. So everybody that wanted something got it. So if they still wanted red, they still had reds. So that was a cool thing. And that's when I text Dave about recording this. The New York Times came out with this thing about 2 weeks ago. And I don't know if you saw that article. The shortage of everything going on for florists on containers.
Okay, well, there's a shortage of everything. So.
Everything, and how prices are raising. And it was this long article, and I'll be honest, I didn't finish the whole article. But so
you got the point in the headline, right?
Right.
Like, oh my
yes.
God.
And we can get into that later too. But I have not been following the news as much as I should be. So I just kind of zoned out on it. But anyway, I heard about this article, so I started reading it. Didn't finish the article. So then it came time last week for my order to come in, which I think was Tuesday when the first round of everything came in. And I had no idea that article was kind of ringing true. So a lot of my prices were skyrocketed, not what I had expected. So I had a price in mind, what I needed to get for my roses that I always had before. And this year just was not doable. So everybody was honestly awesome about it. I got very nervous about it and how it was going to work and stuff. And everybody understood. And I think it's kind of one of those things that life has gone up. Price of gas. I'm trying to think what else. NIMO. I've heard that a lot too. Everything has gone up. So luckily we had a client base that was completely rode the wave with us.
I'm going to give you a challenge on that.
Okay.
Name one thing that hasn't gone up, because I can't come up with anything.
Well, I thought flowers. I thought some of them didn't go up, but nope, everything has gone up. Everything. And so me kind of sticking out of the news world. I didn't really think of that. And so I said, well, I'm just going to do the same thing I did last year. And that was not able to be done. So, well, I guess I could have, but I wouldn't be in business, as my husband says. So I saw this quote that I had to think on, and I thought on it all weekend. And then I finally had to make my decision on what I was going to do. But so it was, let's see, increase prices or decrease expectations. And that was one of the florists that I follow on Instagram. And, they have this huge business. And I said, okay, so I can either increase my prices or decrease expectations. And I said, I think I'm going to go with increasing the prices, because I can't take something and say, hey, you always expect this dozen roses to have fillers and, your 12 dozen roses, vase, bow, filler flowers, and then your greens. I can't take out 2 of those things.
How many people count the number of roses they do? You could have cut it to 11. Nobody would have known.
No, there's no way that would have happened. No, because somebody would have figured that out, I think.
And you just say, I'm sorry.
I miscounted. Well, that's really bad as a florist.
Just kidding.
That's really bad as an adult, actually, if you can't count to 12. But that's between whatever.
We're back to those 12-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly.
Ordering flowers.
Right. So that's where I said, well, I think we got to do it this way. So, and like I said, everybody was great. Everybody rode the wave. Everybody understood it. So I can't honestly thank all of my customers personally enough. I don't know how the other florists did, but I can't thank them enough because they're keeping us in business. And, flowers, to me, I love flowers, but not everybody sees the value in them. So that was kind of my concern that, oh boy, you could go down to Price Chopper. I think they had them for $30 a dozen. Just can't. I was paying more than that a dozen. So it's wholesale. So, and it's figuring out that, hey, we got to either support me as a person or the small business, and this is where it goes to. And so I can't thank my customers personally enough for that. So if any of my customers are listening, thank you. We'll be here. Like I said, every month. I never know what's going to happen, but we will be here now as going into next month. So I'm excited about that. So in the meantime, though, what happened since the last time I was here, we decided, the tea room thing that we did. We're gonna start doing micro events now. Oh. So a very large space if you've been there. So
what do you mean if I've been there? Of course I've been there.
Well, you've been there. I don't know who listens to this. I don't know who listens. So
you need to go. If you haven't gone, you need to go.
Yes, and we're having an open house and another ribbon cutting, which the chamber said we can do another ribbon cutting, I guess, because I've never. Well, this is for the new spot and the new event type of thing. So
did the chamber do one when you first opened?
They did. So I said I can't do a second one, can I? And they said, oh no, you added things and it's a whole new location. So and it's.
You've expanded the business when you're talking tea room and events.
Right. So it grows one more step now. So the tea room was great, but if you're listening, we're located in Dallarsville, kind of an offshoot of the rest of the valley. So it's really hard to get people up there. So it's getting people to come off the thruway and then taking that left turn and driving another 7 or 8 miles up to a road that really not too much up there, I guess. There's no McDonald's, there's no, fast food. There's a couple small businesses that is a really niche market. So
there's good restaurants there.
Yeah. So
it's worth a drive. Yeah. I mean, it's,
Yeah. So to get people up there, that was what I was thinking is what do people have to come up here for? Like, that would be a necessity. So that's where I said, an event little space. We got the space. We have the tables for the tea room already. It looks beautiful. We're expanding on that too, which I'll get to. So I said, you know what? We're going to do micro events. So micro events are going to be anything 50 or less. So baby showers, bridal showers, micro weddings by the end of the summer, which we'll talk about that on another podcast. But yeah, that's going to be a start to finish, and that'll be. Oh, okay. It's a good thought process, but like I said, and not till the end of the summer will that be ready. But basically, so I said, you know what? Then you have people coming up on a Saturday for something that they normally wouldn't have to come to Dallarsville for. So it's a baby shower or bridal shower. The thing that I'm excited about is it's my space and I get to do whatever I want with it. So we're obviously going to do a ton of florals. It's going to look like a floral garden. Bomb went off in there. I'm so excited. I have a girl named Katrina who did Iron Rock Brewery down here.
Yeah, they're Rock Valley
Brewing Company now.
Yeah, they were Iron Rock Brewing Company.
Okay. Yep. So if you went down there, when they first opened, they had this floral cloud that everyone told me about. You got to go see this floral cloud. It's awesome. So what it was suspended, I think, in the middle of their bar. I never actually got to see it. But
I didn't see it either.
I think it might have been for like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe it was down there. But this woman named Katrina did it. So she happened to come into the store about 2 months ago and said, hey, I just wanted to introduce myself. And anyway, we got talking and I said, "You're the girl who did that floral cloud." And she said, "Yes, I am." So we actually have been working on it, and she's basically taken the lead on this designing. If you've been to the store, it's an old church. So there is a staging altar area, whatever you'd call it, that basically is like a U that goes around. So we're going to do all these dried florals right around the U. So it looks like this little meadow that you're walking through with dried florals.
Or a little park. Put a little water fountain in there and some running water.
That's the idea.
No, that'd be kind of cool.
It
and
would
an
be.
arch.
So that's what we're going to do is on the outside, we're going to do the gardens. And then as you come inside, it basically will be like you're transferring from the outside to the inside without it being looking any different. So that's kind of the vision of it.
I'll throw my stuff into there now. If you put a green screen in the back, we could make it look like they're standing on a beach, with an arch, and you'd have the flowers and the water fountain going. And
yeah, then not a green screen because then it's not real, and everyone's going to look and go, "Hey, what is that?"
In there they would, but post production when you run that through,
that's true. That's very true.
Put the beach in and everything.
Hey, that is actually a good idea. We have to do a video overlay of it to get people to see what it is. If they don't want to drive up there, then they have to come up and see it. So we're doing that.
Not trying to make your life more complex.
Yes, exactly. That's it. We'll just get a green screen. I should tell her that and see what she thinks about that. So
she probably, that's cool.
Yeah. We'll just do that. That'll be good. So anyway, so she's working on that, and then Shazniana, who we had on a couple of podcasts ago, she is really the master at doing the linens, I guess they're called. I don't even drapings. That's the proper term. So the drapings soften the look is what she told me, and I was like, never would have thought of that. So soften the look. So we're going to soften the look a little bit in there because there's a lot of wood with all of her drapings and stuff. So basically, it's going to look like, I'm hoping, a fairy garden. That's what I'm goaling for. That's my absolute goal for it.
Is that just going around the stage? You're going to do the
draping? The whole area. So basically, all the tables will have centerpieces. If you book an event with us, that includes the price. Is included with the price that all the centerpieces are there. And then once we do the micro weddings, it's basically you're coming into this space that looks like a big garden and having your event or whatever you need to have in there.
Have you thought about what that'll do to the acoustics? Do you like? Because
I think it'll be all right with the dried florals.
I meant the
drapings.
Drapings, yeah.
I haven't yet.
I don't like that word.
I don't
drapings.
know. I don't know what it's called though. That's what
it's called fabric.
Soften the fabric, I guess, to soften the look a little bit. So basically, where those double doors are is where all of that's going to go. Okay. So I haven't thought about that, but it's basically like the Grand Old Opry in there. So I don't know if it'll be good or not, or
that'll be neat.
It's got to soften the look though. So maybe it'll soften it. So
you're softening the look.
So yeah, so that all in the interior will be done by March 24th from 5 to 7, which is our cutting of the ribbon, the open house, all of that. So that's the plug for that one. I'll remind you next month on that.
March 24th.
So
I'll be there.
Yeah, it'll be good. We'll have pictures and things, and then I have a couple of giveaways if the Rotary gets their cards done for Dollarville, and then Sharon's going to do some food. We always have to have food, so Sharon Dunphy from Arthur's. Yes, she's going to come in and do that. So excited about that. So it's like our second grand opening or third grand. I don't know.
That's going to be very cool.
I had one once a year. I feel
Sharon
like.
Cook it up because I may just not eat dinner.
I'm taking requests. I'm taking requests now because I told her, I said, I'll firm up that menu a couple weeks before and we'll see. Yeah. So probably hors d'oeuvre type things. But hey, if you want something specific, we'll add it too. So
good steak is always.
Oh, I know. I don't know if she can do that for us. Maybe little mini burgers. Yeah. Maybe little mini burgers. She was talking about
Kobe burgers.
We've talked about
Kobe sliders.
Yeah, we could do that. And we talked about the hors d'oeuvre menu being a little bit more elegant. So not like little finger sandwiches, but she talked about a charcuterie board, which charcuterie boards are all the rage now. Yeah. So I said, yep, we could do something like that. So anyway, so there'll be good food. Let's put it that way. So a taste of Dollarville, or is what the subtitle is. A little taste of Dollarville. Yeah, see? Got to think big on it. So anyway, so that's what's been going on in our life, I guess, up there on the store. So like I said, the interior will be done by March 24th, and then the exterior, which is all the gardening, we'll have to have you up, and we'll do a podcast up there with gardening outside, which will be so much fun.
Totally cool.
So we're going to add a little bit of vegetables in there because now we can arrange with. Apparently, the cool thing is to arrange with a little bit of vegetable in your flower arranging. So we're going to grow a few of those things, see what happens. Tomatoes. It's little cherry tomatoes. That's been very popular.
Right. But, the carrot hanging out, I don't get that in the bouquet.
It's a cool concept. There was one I saw one Easter. They have the carrots actually because they're roots, so they actually go in the water, and then they use the greens on the top. So on that clear cylinder, you see these carrots, and then the greens come
So
out, and then you
they
add
put
flowers.
the full carrot in there? Okay, with a carrot top.
So
all right.
we'll see. It might take off. You never know. It's all
These
experimenting.
days, with the cost of vegetables,
Yeah. Hey, it might work. It might lower the price of the floral arrangement, or it might actually raise it.
might
I'm
raise
not
it up.
sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Fully functioning though. Then you add herbs to it, so you have the herbs gardens with it.
so you could get some smell in there, different smells.
Yep.
No.
I've actually done that before, and I had a lady, bless her heart, she's like 99 years old, Italian. So I put some decorative basil in there. And she told her daughter, or whoever bought the arrangement for her, she's like, I'm eating my arrangement. And the daughter called me and she goes, can she eat her arrangement? And I said, yeah. If she's eating the basil, she can. So she did. She rooted it. She brought me into her house at the end of the summer and she goes, look what happened. I said, that's great. She goes, I put it on my pasta. I said, hey. Fully functioning.
Feeding the elderly.
It is, So
Creative designs by Tiffany.
right. Hey, it's worth the investment. That just keeps giving and giving.
Sounds like senior meals program or something.
It is. And I said, it was cool because that was at a point when we couldn't really get many greens. So I said, hey, she's being, she's using it. It keeps rooting and it kept going. I was very surprised. So I was happy with that. So maybe that'll take off too. So either way, a lot of exciting things happening. So glad we're back and talking about this all. And I guess we'll take a break. Is that what we do? And then we'll come back with our and more guest. I'm really excited about our and more guest.
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city and the area. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of the Mohawk Valley. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, our event calendar, and print publication, the Mohawk Valley Express. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of locals and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes Store, listen to our country music streaming radio station, or sign up for a weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
But it's nice to hear again.
It's a minute.
Is it really a straight
I think
minute?
it's about, it might be a couple
I
seconds
talk way
over if I
longer.
remember right.
Took way
Thanks
longer
a
than
lot.
a minute. So that's
You're supposed to say that, that excites me. That's so.
It is.
The
It's-
music is, but see, you can't see it.
Yeah,
so
that's the difference. The visual you gotta
I
have.
could have
with it.
slipped the monitor on over here and you would have seen it, but
I think I don't know. I'll have to watch the YouTube, then I can actually see the whole thing. It does. It draws you right in, though.
Jeez.
That cinematography. I was just looking at it. So this, before we get into the end more, this MLB thing. Have you heard that my first love of baseball? I don't know anything about baseball. I worked with them for 10 years, but I don't know anything about it. You heard about the lockout?
The lockout,
Lockdown,
yeah.
Lockdown, whatever. So there were supposed to pitchers and catchers were supposed to report today. I think was their said date, but I guess they still haven't gotten any contracts through. So I don't know. One of those interesting things. So
I think I can't remember what decade it was when they had the last strike, but I used to watch baseball all the time until the strike, and I stopped.
Yeah.
And I really haven't watched since then, a little bit here and there, but not a full game, just a snippet of something other than the Diamond Dogs.
Yeah, see, I think they're still going. Doesn't matter. This
Yeah,
whole thing, we're good.
Yeah,
So,
Travis is out there with a contract sign here, boy.
yeah, yep, it's true. It's true. Until they come down with the CBA.
I think he's got his team put together.
I think so too.
Yep.
So, well, that's a good lead into my and more. So, and more, I always have a guest. For those that don't remember, it's been so long. I always try to have a guest that's locally, somebody who owns a business or specific to Dallasville. Usually, I try and do. And this month, I said, you know what, Dave, would you be my and more guest? So,
And totally unprepared for this.
yes.
So yeah, go ahead.
Hey, it works. It's just like our normal conversations. But, so the reason why we didn't have the podcast for a few months was Dave was in the hospital.
Yeah.
With not really with with COVID, but had COVID, then got sick, basically. So
got pneumonia.
yes. So
From a previous pneumonia in March of last year, which
crazy.
was before we started doing this.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And so spent a week in the hospital. That time had severe sepsis from dental surgery, which from
I
what I
remember
hear
that
is a common thing,
Yeah.
which I had no idea. And then as I was exiting the hospital, they said, oh, by the way, you have community pneumonia. And I was like, huh? okay. And you don't think about it and go through the whole summer and, you know, you're not like you normally are. You're having a little bit of trouble. And I'm thinking, geez, I need to exercise more. I need to walk more. And I'm thinking, I'm doing enough. I'm everywhere. I'm, you know, this is crazy, you know, so you don't do anything about it. And it's hiding in the background.
Which is crazy.
So I get the COVID at the end of October.
Well, and that's what I was trying to figure out. I know. That's what I was trying to figure out.
We're not going to say where. I don't want to.
It's a small town. So no, I was trying to figure out. I said, well, we did October, I think. I have all my list here.
Yep.
So I think we did October, and I saw you then. It was usually the second, third week of the month.
Was it when we did it?
I think that's, I don't even know. Where are we now? Second week of the month. So it's something like second week of the month. And then I was trying to figure out when exactly all of it hit for you. But
we were judging, we figured it out pretty quickly.
Okay,
we were judging a Halloween contest.
Okay. So
And
end of the
my
month.
wife and I say
Okay.
we, I should say who that was. Not
Me
you
and my
and
best
I.
friend, you and your best friend in the back of your head.
Yeah,
Or
yeah. He's still here.
Right, yeah.
He's just off camera.
We. Yes. So you guys
And
were up there.
and so, you know, evidently I got just a huge, you know, blast of COVID from somebody. And of course you're taking pictures, and I was shooting video and interviewing people and doing stuff. So, and then I was coming out of COVID that about 10, 11 days later. It was pretty bad, but I was coming out of it, and Deborah came out of it. She got it too, my wife. And
I didn't realize that. Okay,
yeah, same time.
Yep.
But
Yep.
hers was not as severe.
Okay.
And this was Delta. This is before Omicron. So, you know, really,
Like I said, I haven't read the news in like 6 months, so as you say that,
I'll throw some names out there. RoboCon is coming next, so to a theater near you, and you may get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I have no idea.
But I could say anything, couldn't
Yes,
I?
and I'd be like,
all right.
yeah, oh, that sounds. I've never heard of that
yeah.
strain, and then I'll start telling people, like, what are you talking about?
RoboCon.
Yeah.
See, I think if I say
strange.
that and enough people hear it, that's what they'll name the next
Yeah,
one. So it's a scientific study on
It was supposed to be the Greek alphabetet, and I was like,
Yeah.
Beta, delta, gamma. There's no gamma, and then it lost my interest after that anyway. So
yeah. So anyway, and then so I ended up not being able to breathe. You know, I was coming out, and it was like, okay. Went to the emergency room in Little Falls, and they gave me oxygen. Got home, and it was worse and worse. The oxygen, you keep cranking the dial up, and these home units only go up to, I think, 6 liters, I think is how they measure it. And that wasn't enough. You know, I had by then a blood oxygen meter and checking and whatever. Went back, and they said, you need to go down to Cooperstown. So that started 5, almost 6 weeks of being either in a medically induced coma and a ventilator and all of that, and 3 times approaching my wife talking about he's going to die within a few hours. And of course, for me, 95% of it I don't remember.
which you said that, and I you think about it, and what would you remember? At
Yeah,
that point,
I mean, well, what you do remember, the problem is sorting out what, part of the time you're not conscious. The other part of the time when you are, the drugs are so severe that you're hallucinating and you have no idea what you're thinking, whether that's real or not.
Right. Yep.
And the other day I said to Deborah, I said, how come there were a couple of times where you didn't come? And she said, I was there every day. Every day, some days for 17, 18 hours. And the staff was telling her that nobody does visitation like that.
Yep.
And she was the legal proxy for me.
Yep.
So she was watching what they were doing very carefully and intervened several times on my behalf and changed kind of the course of treatment.
Which is awesome. You and I talked about that before, and I said, you give her a ton of credit first off for being there every single day, and then on top of that, watching and knowing what she's doing. And
well, she's come home and research.
And,
she's a researcher.
Yep.
I mean, and she does marketing and consulting, but you don't ever open your mouth in those fields unless you've done your research. Right. And so here she is. Doctors are telling her things, and she's saying, "I don't know. It doesn't sound right." Or let me go see. And so there were probably at least 2 different times where her intervention had a positive result in something that might have been a negative.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And you hear these stories and stuff, and this is why I wanted you for the and more even. And I said, I'm so excited. I got the exclusive interview now. So,
yeah.
But really, I mean, your article when it came out and stuff, I texted you and I was like, I literally cried. Oh no.
That's you.
Yeah, that's me. I didn't put my phone on,
You know
so
what? That's
I got it. Okay, hang on. I got it.
Penalty.
Yeah, the little moon there. I forgot to hit the moon anyway. So, but yeah.
We don't moon on this podcast,
that's
Tiffany.
true,
Okay,
that's
all
true.
right.
That's
one thing we
on
don't
the
do.
iPhone. You know, the
Oh,
little
okay, all
do
right.
not disturb thing.
Yeah,
Anyway.
okay, all right. Yeah,
So,
there's a
listen,
little button on the
That's,
side.
well, that's true too. I didn't realize that. I'm not technologically gifted. So anyway, clearly, I
is it,
have
an
like
iPhone
an iPhone.
1?
I was gonna say
Good Lord,
it's an
woman.
iPhone. I think it's an iPhone 6, and I've looked at all the cameras and stuff, and I'm like, man, these cameras would be cool to have for taking pictures of flowers. And I see,
There's like 12 cameras on there. Now look at that.
Well, that's what. So when you see my photos, you can really appreciate where they're coming from. This is the moneymaker right here. This old phone is making those pictures.
right,
So
all right.
yeah.
This one would make much better.
Oh, I
pictures.
know. I had an investment. Everyone's told me
Yeah.
that. I got to do the investment.
Well,
But anyway, so that's where were we even talking about? Now I got distracted. See,
You got Sam. But okay, so it was and then when people don't, I think one of the things they don't realize is that when you're in the hospital like that and you're not able to move, that you start losing all your muscle mass.
Yep.
And so I lost 30 pounds, but not of good stuff. If it had been the belly, I would have been okay with that.
Yep.
But you're losing muscle mass. And so we got to December 11th.
Okay.
And I remember the date only because it was Christmas in Little Falls that day.
Okay. Always the
And-
media guy, always thinking Little
That's it.
Falls.
Yeah,
Look at that. Yep.
Yeah, gonna slide that little
Yeah.
promo in.
Yeah.
But and basically, my wife and I had told the hospital that if I'm going to die, I'm going to die in my house. I'm not going to die in a hospital where I don't know anybody and whatever else. And so we finally argued for sending me home.
Yeah.
And so they were setting that up for a couple of days later. And this really nice doctor came in, and we would have to do a whole podcast on how broken the healthcare system is.
We should.
And
we should get the other podcaster. I thought of that, and I was like, we should have one with all three of us that just do one podcast, and that could be the talking about. Oh,
it just,
I know.
I mean, I think
know.
everybody knows it, but there are no answers about what to do about it.
Yeah.
It's the sad part. But anyway, so she came in, and she came in with the I can't even think what the pulmonologist, and she said to Deborah, "There's one more thing. There's a Hail Mary we can do." And she said, if it doesn't work, he's going home to die, and that nothing changes. She said, if it works, he won't be going home to die, but he'll be on dialysis the rest of his life. So it was, obviously at that point you want to live, right? So although there was a time there where she said that I told her, I can't take any more of this. I just want to go ahead and die. Yeah. And I don't remember saying that, but I said, I was on massive drugs. Why would you listen to me?
She's like, I did it. You're still here, right? So
why would anybody listen to me?
Right.
So we said, okay. And so they gave me this stuff, and it, some massive dose of some kind of steroid. And next morning, fever is gone, everything, I'm breathing easier. And they started working the oxygen down. And they said, it was kind of a miracle thing.
That's really
and
cool.
so, instead of going home to die, I was going home to rehabilitate.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. So I came home on the 13th at night.
Okay.
And it was kind of funny because I didn't tell anybody, because I had no idea. And I was scared they were going to find an excuse to keep me there.
Right.
Because I was still, a lot of drugs.
Yes, I'm sure.
And I kept going, and I called her because she didn't come that day, the day I was supposed to, because she was here trying to set up a bedroom because I have a 2-story.
Right.
And she turned the dining room into a bedroom. So it had the medical bed in there, and they'd put a fireplace and TV and a Christmas tree. I mean, it was so incredible. But anyway, so I called her and I said, they're not here yet. The ambulance isn't here yet to pick me up. You need to call somebody. You need to find out. I'm telling you, they're going to find a way to get out of this. I mean, I was freaking.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oops. Freaking so much I hit the microphone.
Yes, yeah.
And but they finally, the ambulance showed up. And they have to clean you up before you leave, right? Because you can't do anything for yourself.
Right.
You're a slug.
Right.
You're laying there.
Right.
And these 2 nurses finally came in like 2 or 3 hours after I expected. And I'm watching the clock the whole time.
What else can you
And,
do? Yeah.
they said, they're here. And I said, where? And I'm looking around. And they said, no, we're going to clean you up there down in the cafeteria. I said, but what if they get a call? You know, it's an ambulance. I said, what if they get a call and they leave? And the girl goes, honey, they ain't going nowhere. I hooked their gurney to the door. I wrapped it around the door handle. Okay. They're not going anywhere.
Good. Very good.
They're just getting a cup of coffee.
Right. Yep.
So they brought me here, and then they couldn't find a parking spot on my street because, you know, everybody was out there parked in front of my house and whatever. So they're parked almost in the middle of the road.
They have lights though, right? So
they have lights.
Well,
they didn't have the, you know,
Yeah.
but they had lights, flashers and whatever. So they're getting out of there, getting me out of the back. And I hear people yelling my name and lights flashing and all. And I'm like, I was still out of it. And I'm thinking, and I didn't have any, I had like the bed, whatever the gown is they put on you. And I think I had a sheet and a thin blanket over me. And it was freezing
I'm
cold.
sure December.
And I'm dying.
Yeah.
I'm cold. And I'm thinking, where am I? and my brother-in-law was standing there to help because the 2 people on the ambulance, one was a short little, you know, female and then a guy, and he's looking at it like they're going to need help. Because they had to take me in the back.
Don't drop him.
Yeah,
Don't drop him.
And I'm thinking, and I hear horns and lights and welcome back, Dave Warner. And I'm like, well, it was freaky.
Awesome.
But then I come into the house and there's this whole room set up, and it was kind of cool with a Christmas tree and, you know.
To be home, just to be home even probably.
But I looked around and it's like, where am I? I mean, it just was really, because I'd never seen that room like that.
Yeah.
You know, it was totally changed.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool to be home. And, you know, awesome. There was a nurse that came home, type nurse, and physical therapy and whatever. And they started coming all the time. But the nurse came the next day. And 30 days later, she signed off on me.
Awesome. Yep.
And I went from being a total slug in the bed and people out there who've dealt with somebody that they're taking care of at home. Yep. I'm not going to get into the details, but you know what I'm talking about. Yep. And 30 days later, I'm on a cane. I had gone through the wheelchair, the walker, you know, just pushing myself. And I still use the cane. Yeah. Stairs are a problem, and it'll be a long time. It's not any short thing, especially on the lung capacity, because that now means I had pneumonia 3 times last year.
I was going to say,
because after the initial one, which I didn't say because we got sidetracked with our phone or so I don't know what, but in the SCU, I caught bacterial pneumonia. Okay. So that one almost killed me as well. So
stay away from pneumonia. Then that's the learning curve on this
it's
one.
Like,
but
oh boy, that's some nasty stuff, and you don't. It's not anything you really think about. Now you see the commercials all the time for the shots, but it's not anything you just think about. But it's out there,
true.
all kinds, and so. The lung capacity, if you look at the NIH, you know, as Deborah has done, doing her research, because I said, will my lungs recover? Because I said, I think I'm at like maybe 30% capacity, maybe 40, I don't know, but will I get better? Right. Is what I was asking. Right. And so she did her research. She said, NIH says, nah. And then she found a bunch of other doctors that said no, you know, especially what they're calling COVID pneumonia, bacterial pneumonia, common pneumonia, community pneumonia, community pneumonia, that over time you can heal. So I'm hopeful that that's the case, but I understand that it's, you know, 6 months to a year, mainly because I had so much damage done. Right. I'm supposed to go back in for pulmonology, kind of, I guess they're going to x-ray and do a CT scan with contrast and all that stuff, but they're going to check it out. But, you know, they don't really have a baseline, I don't think, in my records of what I looked like.
Right, because
Like perfect.
most people wouldn't, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So until you actually have something done, and then
Yeah.
they have to check it. So,
But they will
yeah.
be able to check against what they did in the hospital versus where am I now, and maybe give me some indication. So
Right.
I'm hopeful, but you sit there and you think about it going, this fall, a football game, am I going to be running up and down the sideline,
Right.
which equates to 2.5 to 3 miles.
Yeah.
Because
People
check
don't realize
these really
that.
newer phones that
You
check
can't just throw it and
do
it
your
comes back
health.
to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could take an EKG right now.
Can
No,
you
I
really?
just-
No,
yeah,
I was
you
gonna say,
can.
holy cow! I should get a new phone. Then a new investment. Then I didn't realize that.
I didn't want to talk you into spending $1,000.
Wow, I didn't realize. Hey, in the long run, it may save me money though. I can
never
do my
know.
own EKG at home. But it's very easy.
But then
so.
it says it gives you a disclaimer, so I don't know how good it is.
Not very. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, something to think
But
about. at least.
yeah, so it was interesting. Last night I shot my first sporting event.
Awesome.
I shot basketball last night,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah,
How's that
it was.
feel? How does it feel to be back?
It's weird because you think about it. It's 3 months.
Right.
And I had a different camera. I had a new camera that I'd gotten, but had used maybe once, maybe twice before that. So I'd forgotten everything. So settings and all, and I was like, oh my God, because sports is fast moving, even at high school level. Kids are moving quick these days. They're big.
It's true. It's
These boys
very
are
true.
6'6",
Yep.
and you're 200 pounds. Like, damn.
Yep.
So
I laugh because I'm infamous for the blurry picture, and that's just people standing still. So I'm thinking of running down the court
that's
or
'cause
watching
you're
guys.
using the iPhone 6.
That's true.
no,
hey, back in the day, it was a really good phone.
It was
Photo, yeah.
it was fun to do it. It was a little frustrating, and Deborah said I was changing where I was sitting after the half, and she said, "Didn't you see all those people in the stands that wanted to wave to you and wanted to say hi?" And I said, "I was
You're
trying to keep my footing because I'm using the cane.
Yeah.
I'm trying to carry the camera
Yep.
bag." She's like, "Let me carry the camera bag for you." No, you can't do that. I need to do this to get better.
Yep. Yep.
So I won't
well,
let her
that's
carry anything.
determination. You see, that's the
Yeah.
thing. You'll be
Yeah.
good.
So,
jeez. Well, I'm glad you're back doing what you want to be doing and
This stuff
taking
is fun.
inventory. Yes, that's awesome. So I'm so glad that you're back in general, and I'm glad to hear your story. And like I said, I think I started to say it before the phone rang. That was before the phone rang, but that was when I read your article. Kind of, I don't know everybody who works with you exactly how much everybody knew, but for me, I don't see you that often. We do the podcast once a month, so it was kind of like we knew you were kind of sick, you were in the hospital. Deborah actually had messaged me, and I thought that isn't really a good sign. So then when your article came out, it was one of those things. I texted you and I said, I was teared up reading about it, and I couldn't believe that was what happened.
Yeah,
and
it's on. If anybody wants to look at it, it's
I was
on
gonna-
mylittlefalls.com. It's in the editorial section. It's called The Power of Prayer.
Yep. And it was an excellently written article too. That was the other thing. It was just I don't even know how you need to read it. Let's put it that way. If you haven't read it,
Well,
yet.
you have to. You want it in a small number of words, not get into an extensive amount of detail. Tell people what it was like to go through that, and how do you do that. And I came up with a way I thought to graphically represent what it felt like to me. And then you want to thank the people because the community was unlike anything I've experienced before. It started with the prayer chains, and we're talking not just one church. We're talking thousands of people in different states because today our families are all scattered.
It's true, yeah.
And so I've got family in Massachusetts and Maryland and, Texas and North Carolina, and they all went to their churches and they started the prayer lines. And I remember, I do remember this from there. I remember Deborah coming to me and telling me that Lori Casulo in Little Falls at Holy Family Parish had started a prayer line. And I was thinking, I've heard the term before, but, and you hear people say, I'm praying for you. And you go, yeah, okay, right, whatever. This was sincere. And it's weird. I went to the pharmacy the other day. I was sitting in the parking lot. Deborah was inside, get Kenny drug. And people were stopping their car. They saw me. They say, it's the hat. It's the hat, right? I don't have it on the podcast, but it's the white My Little Falls hat. And they would back up and go, and I had to put my window down. It was cold outside again. Put my window down, and they're like, oh, you're out.
Yeah.
And I am still praying for you. And when I hear that now, I feel like it's far more sincere than I ever have in my life.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the number of cards and things, it was over 100, probably under 200.
Crazy.
And gifts of, like, when Deborah was here and I'm in the hospital, people were feeding her. Like for our in-laws, she'd come home and the refrigerator would be full.
Yep.
I mean, and then they were bringing, when I got here, they were bringing fully cooked meals and a ham that lasted us like a week and a half.
It's awesome. It's so cool.
And and then Christmas Eve, there were people lined up coming up my sidewalk with cookies and all gift certificates, and we're still eating off those things.
Which is the coolest thing.
We went Valentine's Day. We went to Bella Vista on a gift certificate.
What do we got today? Yeah, that's awesome.
You're dealing this out. You're going, oh boy,
That's awesome.
what do you want tonight, honey? I don't have to pay.
Yeah, exactly. What a dream. That's
I know. It was great. It's gonna run dry soon, but I'm gonna run with it. till
Maybe
the
not,
end.
though.
No. But it was really now. I mean, I've talked about this so much that I don't tear up, but it was so hard not to every time I talked about it. And the title was so fitting, The Power of Prayer. It was just powerful.
Yeah.
And I felt it, and I believe that it had an impact on my outcome.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to say that to anybody. I mean, it's not trying to.
We've talked about censorship at one point on here, and you're like, "No, you're fine." So I think we're good.
They're
It's
good.
true.
Yeah. No, they're not.
True, yeah.
They're not hanging the Christians yet.
So, knock on wood. I'll leave my 2 cents out of that. Yeah, then I really will get censored. No. But it's true. It is, and your whole article and everything. Like I said, it's just I know you on that level, and I said, it's even more so. I think everybody feels like they know you, though, too.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing, too, that whether they know you or not, everyone feels like they know you. You're the My Little Falls guy. I had so many friends that I actually had, as I'm thinking of, I had a couple people message the story even, too, after I think I reposted when you had posted the story. They're like, oh, what happened with him, whatever. And I'm like, I don't even know if they know you or not, but everybody feels like they're connected to you. So
Yeah, it was, I had somebody tell me that, and this is so weird because you don't, sometimes you don't think about your impact. You don't understand your impact.
Yep.
And they said it was like the community went silent.
It was. It absolutely was. I looked every morning for a new article online. It wasn't on, and it was. It was absolutely.
Deborah figured it out. Took her a little bit, but she went and figured that stuff out, started posting things. And so that was, I mean, how she did it. She said, I went to YouTube. I looked at WordPress for Dummies articles.
That researching is, yes.
God, that researching. And she said, I just kept going till I figured it out.
Yep, that's awesome.
I was like, I just don't understand how you did that.
I know.
How did you even know where to go to log in? I never told you that.
Yep. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome.
That was crazy. So,
and it kept afloat and stuff, but you knew the difference. You absolutely knew the difference. When you saw it, even with the Express when it came out too, you could see the difference.
Mohawk Valley Express,
So it was.
There was only the one issue I couldn't do, which was the December issue. I did contribute to the January one because I was home on the 13th, so I actually laid that paper out.
Okay.
I don't think I had anything article wise to contribute because I had nothing. I had a bunch of people, and that was another thing. People volunteered to write, to put content up. Awesome. They volunteered to deliver the papers. Cool. And I kept trying to pay them. Well, my regular columnists, I did, but there were others who just said, "No, I want to just help. I want to help. I want to, write about this and write about that." And I was like, "This is crazy on any given day. I could use these people, but no, for that period,
stay on for us.
Yeah, can you stay on a little bit and write? But it was really. I mean, those are weird things. I mean, can I write articles for you? Can I deliver papers for you? Can I?
Tangible. It's tangible.
Those are real deal things, and so. I didn't, for the February issue, I felt like there's no way I could get to all these locations, upstairs, whatever. Right. And I didn't want to ask for help. And so, Deborah has neuropathy in her left leg.
Okay.
So she has really an issue getting up and downstairs as well. I'm thinking, God, which one of us is going to go first?
You need an acorn stair lift. We talked about acorn stair lifts at one point.
We're not doing that. Yeah.
You need one of those.
Yeah,
I'll just come over just to go up and down your stairs with it.
No. I'm past that. I'm past that now. But yeah, and I thought, oh God, the both of us trying to deliver these papers, there's no way, but I don't want to ask these people to do it again. And they called me saying, no, we want to.
That's cool. That's
and I'm
really
like,
cool.
but let me pay you. Let me donate to the organization. This is Think Local Little Falls.
Yep.
And they were like, no, we're just going to do this for you.
That's awesome.
I was like, it's just
What
crazy.
an impact, though, you've had over your life. If you haven't realized it yet, what an impact just in this small cluster of living in Little Falls most recently. Just
That's the Little Falls area.
It really, yeah,
you
that's
know?
and it's if you haven't seen it yet, you should see it.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure about your reaches.
And then in the hospital, and I missed the big thing.
Yep.
Deborah and I wrote the Downtown Revitalization Initiative
That's
grant
right.
for Little Falls,
Yep.
and we won $10 million for the city. So
Well, just
now
in a day's work. That's all. Just in just
almost
days.
2 years of
Yeah,
work. Yeah, a year and a half at least.
Yep.
But yeah,
It's
and-
nobody realizes these things. I don't think nobody realizes what you actually do, and that's how I met you was with baseball. You would come up, and I think you were like, I just want to take some pictures, and
yeah.
and I
and
remember,
Travis was like, "Who is this guy?
Yes, it was.
Oh, he just walks out on the field." He started,
We talked
my thing
about
is,
that.
I ask for forgiveness on every single level.
Yes.
You
Well, I think so the accurate story was on our end was at the time, J-Mac, if anybody knows J-Mac, was your guy. You're in. And Travis was like, who is this guy who's out there? J-Mac, not the best communicator in the world. So he lets you go out there. We're all like, who is this guy? Whatever. You're taking pictures, didn't know what the end result was. And now here it is in My Little Falls in the sports section and whatever you cover. So, obviously I joked with him a couple years ago and I said, turned out pretty well with that one, right?
Yeah. And we're a sponsor of the Diamond
Yes,
Dogs.
yep,
and,
yep,
Try
that's
to
awesome.
make sure every home game I'm there.
Right,
and-
which and anybody else that has a camera and wants to run out there, I don't know how willing he'd be to let you go out there, but
well, they'll have to fight me.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
I'm pretty protective of my spots.
Good, very good. You got the lock on it.
I
You're
run the
media.
players off.
Yes, that's true. No, they love it. They absolutely.
I know
love
they
it.
do, yeah.
They absolutely love it.
You see all of them that they all wanted My Little Falls hats and were wearing them?
yep.
They got in trouble for that.
Did they? I didn't realize they did. They shouldn't have
They
to.
did.
It should be the sponsor. See that? They're
Yeah,
doing my
but-
little, one year maybe.
Wanted them in
So,
uniform.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, that's it. And that's why I wanted to talk to you for the and more. Like I said, I'm so happy that you had the I have the interview, whatever.
You've
but
got the exclusive.
It's true. It hits home when you know the person.
Yeah.
And then I thought of it too, like even moving forward for the store and advertising and stuff. I touch base with you and things, but it's not the same. I've talked to a couple people too that, it's not going to be the same when Dave is stepping back a little bit, not doing as much. And, you have to come to terms with that, but you are the best of the best. So just so you know.
So I tell everybody. No,
Yes, it's true though. It absolutely is. And just even the marketing, I had talked to Travis about it too when you were sick there. And I said, I think of it. And I said, without the podcast and all the little things you do, I said, I think I've lost a little bit of business,
Yeah.
and I don't even realize it because as you go day to day, you don't sit down and actually analyze it. But overall, you look at it, and it's nobody can do what you were doing, and so it's you lost it. Let's put it that way. So
I don't think people. What I've already cut back on is, you end up saying yes to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I've started saying no to a lot of things, or I've started coming off some committees, which I wasn't on a lot anyway.
Yeah.
But I started adding all these things up in the number of hours, and it's like, okay, I'm doing way too much.
Yeah.
There's no downtime. There's no time to spend with my wife and really enjoy life. And so she's like, "You really have changed."
That's good.
And I said, people say, "Well, what are you going to?" Because experiences like that can be moments in your life where you decide to change your path.
It's true. Yep.
And people are like, "Well, how has it affected you? How are you going to change whatever?" And I tell them, a simple thing that I figured out so far is that I know I'm not the same person I was in October, but I don't know what that means in February of this year. I don't know where that's going to take me, but I know I'm not the same person anymore. And so,
cool. That's
some people who've heard no from me when they've asked me to do something within the last few weeks or month, they've been totally surprised. And it's not about money anymore. It's about quality of life. And,
It's true.
we turned down a couple of consulting gigs that were pretty decent money. And something that we enjoyed doing, but we said no.
Yeah.
So
you have to enjoy it. That's
Yep.
the biggest thing. And that was, this Valentine's Day too. I did the same thing that I could have busted my butt really, really hard. And at the beginning of the week, I said, nope. I said, I'm doing what I can do. I know I'm confident in what I do, and that's always a big thing for me, that I know what's going out. I know everything. I touch everything before it goes. So I could have had a couple people come in and help, but they do their own thing, and we send it out. Nope, I'm not doing that this year. So
good.
as you learn and you what's important to you and stuff. And I think you're the perfect example now that everyone should just take inventory and say, this is what I want to do.
I know. It really, it's a good
prioritize.
exercise.
It is. It really
To
is.
step back, but it's hard to do when life is.
It is, yeah.
I mean, we're not even going to talk about how screwed up life has been for the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
So
2 years. I had a meeting last night. Someone said, it's been 2 years I've been waiting for stuff to change. I say, it's about 2 years. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but hey, we're here on the other side, and it's a good thing, I think, overall too, because things like this happen to you, and I'm so glad you're here on the other side of this podcast, producer and and more guest. So anyway, I guess I should end my podcast.
I think maybe
now.
so.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Should
So
we,
I got to
should we cue music? We've got a lot to read.
So
All right.
I got
we can do
a
that.
little bit to read now.
All right.
So we hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Remember to connect with us, and we'll talk to you next time. You can find us the third Tuesday. What are we doing? I don't even know. Third
whatever
Tuesday
you
of the
got down
month
there.
at 7 o'clock on My Little Falls Radio, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts.